Scott Wetzel is not for everyone. For instance, sane people who can easily tell right from wrong or strongly urge to change the channel. Doctors Radio declared listening to Scott Wetzel can be hazardous to your health and can cause sickness, strokes, or wanting to take long walks on short piers. Feelings of agitation, dizziness, depression, frustration, and cold sweats are common when listening to Scott. You can have a bad reaction, such as confusion, redness in the face, teeth clenching, fist pounding, wanting to put a fork in your eye, and feeling the need to throw your radio out the window. Listeners have also reported increased swearing, trouble sleeping, and a strong desire to gamble. Truckers and drivers are urged to stay away. Learn from Jack from Arkansas. As for women, don't even think about it.
Oh no, my nipples clearly got erect.
You've been warned. Now, here's your host, Scott Wetzel.
And welcome to the Scott Wetzel Show right here on a fabulous, yes, how about a football Friday, our first official football Friday. A lot to get to in the NFL and some college football as well right here on FanStream Sports on a Friday afternoon. Yours truly sitting in for the next hour and a half or so, taking a look at the world of sports. When it's send an email, go to my website, send a tweet or go to the website, oppositepicks.com, hit the contact Scott icon, that's oppositepicks.com, or just send an email, swoppositepicks@yahoo.com. Send a tweet at oppositepicks, and then YouTube chat as well with the Scott Wetzel Show. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button here for the next 90 minutes, talking the world of sports. What are we going to talk about today? How about how good is the Big Ten? How good is Tim Tebow? How bad is the four-letter network? How good will the Cowgirls be? Shanahan's story won't go away. Andrew Luck explains why he did go away. Will Indiana football go away? $1 million bet on Ohtani, and Mr. Vegas remains red hot. We'll get to all those stories, emails, tweets, a little YouTube chat as well over the next 90 minutes. Marc Lawrence, playbooksports.com will join us. You know the great Marc Lawrence. He's been on our shows before for the LLs, LWs, and he's going to join us today and preview the college football little NFL season with him. So that should be a lot of fun. Yeah, remain red hot. How about it? Another 2-1 yesterday. We'll take it. Now 6-1 on the week. We hit with San Diego on Monday as a best bet. We hit with the Dodgers, Kansas City, and Houston on Wednesday. No plays Tuesday, didn't have a show. Last night we went 2-1, and the only loss was a flyer on Washington as an underdog. So the full win on the Mets and Dodgers overtook the one loss on Washington. So added up 6-1 this week, 6-2 last week, 12-3 our last 15 picks. And we'll have a 3-pack for you later on in the show. But this stuff, as we say all the time, when things happen that are supposed to happen, that this gambling is real easy, right? It's when the surprises come at you. Oh, and they will. You got to stay away from the surprises as much as possible. But nice little Mets win last night. Actually playing, dare I say, a decent baseball. It's the worst time because they're 10.5 back in the wild card race. So, I mean, they're all but done, right? They got to overtake a gazillion teams. But still, when you finally, after literally 100 games, finally see the team that we thought the Mets would be this year, it is still, I would think, hard to pull the trigger. They traded the reliever yesterday, Minter. No big deal, right? But let's see if they trade off some bigger pieces over the next couple of days with the trading deadline being early next week. But we won with the Mets. Nice 4-2 win over the Miami Marlins. We hit with the Dodgers, who beat the Seattle Mariners last night. The Dodgers only minus 150, 160 the last couple of days at home against one of the worst road baseball teams in Seattle in all of baseball. I go figure. It's one thing about this Dodger team. We thought at the beginning of the year that every single game was going to be minus 2-1, 220, especially at home, right? There's no way in the world they're going to be less than a 2-1 favorite. They're going to be so good. But as it turns out, they're class now and all the other pitchers, Ohtani, these guys aren't pitching. They're all hurt. So you're getting a bunch of, Eric Lauers of the world. They're not necessarily winning, as the record would indicate, but the team is winning when they pitch. But still, when you got a 4 and 5 Eric Lauer pitching or one of the other pitchers that they have that shouldn't be seeing the daylight in the starting rotation, especially with the Dodgers, you get low lines. Again, Ohtani pitches, you're going to lay minus 225. Glasnow's in there healthy, pitching well. You got to lay minus 250. You know that's how Yamamoto pitch. You got to lay minus 250. But when all the other so-called no-names pitch, you're getting them at a much better price than I thought we ever would. And like I said, they were minus 140, 145 2 days ago, only minus 160 last night against the Seattle team that sucks. I mean, they're awful. You'll talk about an underachieving team. They're in the 9, 10, 11 games under 500 now on the road. And you're getting the Dodgers at such an easy price. So we took advantage of that last night, went 2-1, and hopefully the winning ways continue. There's baseball. We actually do pretty well in baseball. I know a lot of people say it's the hardest sport to bet. I don't find that. I really don't. It's the most difficult sport to analyze because, as we mentioned yesterday, you got the starting pitchers that only go 5 or 6 innings. You literally have almost half the game without the guy who's pitching. So how do you base that on a bet on how the outcome is going to be when the best pitcher is not pitching in the final 3-4 innings of the game? So it is more difficult versus a basketball game or a football game or a hockey game when you know the best players are going to be playing the whole game. So it's more difficult, a lot more strategizing, but we've done pretty well with it, over the last couple of years and this year as well. So 6-1 this week, like I said, 12-3 over the last 2 weeks, right here on the Scott Wetzel Show. So cha-ching, cha-ching. Who are we going to play today? We got a 3-pack for you today that odds are we're going to win, but you know how things go, right? And there are 3 strange picks as well, but let me lay it out for you. Then you can figure out if you want to bet them or not. Got to start with Baltimore. Minus 120 at home against Philadelphia. The O's have Brandon Young pitching. The O's, who are how many games under 500? 2, 3, something like that? Let me double check just so I can give you the exact number. Baltimore is 3 games under 500, right? 53 and 56. When Brandon Young is pitching for the Orioles, they're 14-3. That's a 14-game swing from being 3 games under for the team. And really, it's even bigger than that because if you take Brandon Young out of the equation, they're not 3 games under 500. They're 14 games over 500. Yet he's pitching 11 games over 500. That's a 30-plus game, 20-plus game swing, almost 30. That's how good, and I like determining how a team does when a guy pitches. Because, sometimes you go 6 innings, you lead 2-2, they end up winning the game. It just goes to show how well they play when he's on the mound. He keeps the team in the game, a chance to win the game. So they're 14-3. Again, for a team that's 3 games under 500, Philadelphia is struggling. I don't like going against the Phillies because they are the better of the 2 teams overall, but Brandon Young, I don't bet against him, and I bet on him now. So give me Baltimore late, only $120 at home against a struggling Phillies team. Similar situation with Washington and Atlanta. Now, we were on Washington last night. We lost 5-4. Love going right back on the team anyway, but we have other reasons. Foster Griffin, maybe baseball's best-kept secret is pitching for the Washington Nationals. The Nationals are 17 and I wrote down 2. It can't be 2. It's 17-4 in his starts this season. Again, you're talking about a team that's 555 and 55, and they're well over 10 games 500 when he pitches. That just goes to show how good of a pitcher he really is. You're getting odds, not a lot, plus 105, but I'll take it. He's 12-2 anyway, but you throw in the record of them being when he actually pitches, no matter whether he gets the decision or not, and 17-4. That's pretty damn good. Pitching again, you're not pitching for the Dodgers. You're pitching for a team that's a mediocre team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 17-5. That's pretty darn good. To be 12 games over 500 for a team that without you pitching would be 12 games under 500. Because remember, take out his 12 games over. That's a 24-game swing. And you want to give me odds against a mediocre, pretty good. I shouldn't say mediocre, but a halfway decent Atlanta team. I'll take my chances with Foster Griffin. And then the last one might be the most impressive one of all, and that's Colorado. I'll grab the Rockies later on tonight, pick them against Kansas City. Who's Kansas City to be pick them against anybody on the road? I know they're playing a little bit better. We had them in one of the games against Minnesota, but they blew the game last night, giving up a walk-off grand slam. Who does that? They bounced back. They got to fly to Colorado from Minnesota. And Tomu Sugano is pitching for the Rockies. Who the fudge is he? Well, you know what? As good as, Foster Griffin is for Washington and Brandon Young is for Baltimore, how about this Sugano dude? The Rockies are 12-6 in his 18 starts this year. 12-6. Now that's, pretty good, right? Okay. Yeah, but then you throw in the fact it's the Rockies. The Rockies are 25 games under 500 as a team. 25. And I got a pitcher who's 12-6. There is the team is when he starts. I'm going from 25 under to 6 over. That's a 31 game swing. And you're getting him at pick'em. I know it's the Rockies. Who the hell wants to bet on the Rockies? But you know what? The Rockies are actually 24-29 at home this year. That's not bad. It's not great. But listen, it's better than the New York Mets. It's better than the Cincinnati Reds. It's better than the Los Angeles Angels. Better than not quite with Toronto. Better than the Sacramento, Oakland, Las Vegas A's. So they're not horrible, this year at home. And with this dude pitching, so their 3 plays tonight, I really like. They're modest numbers, right? Pick them plus 105, minus 120. Anybody can give you a 2-1 and walk away saying we lost, and say, oh, okay, we're 0-1. And that's the first thing you should ever know about a baseball bettor. If he only gives you his record, same thing in hockey, any sport in which you're laying odds, if they only give you their record and not the money aspect portion of that, walk away. Walk away. Because you could bet 2-1 favorites every single time, and out of 100 bets, you're 60 and 50 or 60 and 40, you lost money because those 40 losses are really 80 losses because you're laying 2-1. That's why don't ever trust a gambler if he's not giving you his money number on that, not just the win-loss for basketball or for hockey rather, which lays odds in baseball as well. So anyway, Baltimore, Washington, Colorado, the 3 plays later on tonight. Let's hope it continues. A lot of football today, including our scheduling quirks. This is one of the more, not funner, not the right word, one of the more entertaining things I like to do. One of the things I enjoy looking to do, every single season. I like to go through every single team's games and just find little quirks. Nothing that is over the top crazy. But, there's one team, only one this year, that plays on a road game Sunday and then a road game Thursday. NFL doesn't like to do that. They try to be fair about these idiotic Thursday games, right? There is one team that got screwed. There are 3, I think it is, teams that have 3 straight road games. Again, they don't want to do that. They know how difficult that is. But at least 2, I think it was 3, have actually 3 straight games in a row on the road. There's one team that doesn't have any back-to-back games. There are other teams, road games, back-to-back road games. There are other teams that have 3-game road trips and as many as 4 back-to-back road trip situations, including 2 teams in which you realistically are going to have to fly back and forth. It's one thing to play the Rams one week and the Chargers the next week on the road. You just stay in LA, no big deal. It's not quite like being at home, but you're not dealing with the airfare. Whereas these situations I'll show you, those teams actually have to fly back to their city, fly to the city they're playing, fly back home to the city and then their city, and then fly back out again the following week. That's when you really, know how difficult the road trip is. So I like looking for little goofy things like that. The good betting opportunities. You mark these things down. So we'll do that here in a little bit. So that should be interesting, hopefully, for you guys. I tell you what is interesting, getting right into it, is this Kyle Shanahan situation. I sent this out on Twitter last night, and the consensus is he had a broad in the car, a girlfriend. Kind of like a Chappaquiddick. I joked about that yesterday, saying we're not talking about the Kennedy here, right? In Massachusetts, going over the bridge, landing into the water, right? We're not talking about that, are we? Right? That seems to be the consensus. If people are not taking this for just okay, Most people are. There is some nitwit out there that, chided me for saying there's more to this than meets the eye. But they're now not releasing the body cam video. They're not releasing the 911 call he apparently made or somebody made. They're not releasing the accident report. Something's not right here. I don't care what anybody says. There are cover-ups all the time. Now, it's in San Francisco. He's from there, obviously, as far as being the head coach and everything. And apparently, I'll say apparently because I don't know for sure, that he knows some people in the police department, higher up. Now there are rules that say California law generally restricts access to collision reports. But generally is the key word there. That allows you that if they want to, they can. And in this case, they chose not to. And that's exactly, what we're finding out now. So we don't find out about the accident until 2 weeks later. He proudly, throws out a Twitter, picture of him in the hospital bed with his dopey cap on, like we talked about yesterday. But okay, we don't find out about an accident that nearly kills him, literally, until 2 weeks later. And now we're not getting the body cam or the 911 call or any information pertaining to this accident. He also says it was his fault because an initial report made a mistake. Yeah, a clerical mistake? No, you don't make clerical mistakes. It's just like that Miami Heat LeBron James thing, as I told you about. You don't make mistakes like that. You just don't. You could make a 1, a 10, or a 10, 100, something like that. Extra 0, extra 1. Those are mistakes, missed digits, right? You don't make a mistake about who's at fault in a car accident. Come on. You're describing on the thing. I've been in car accidents. You got to describe what happened. You can't say, oh, that was Kyle Shanahan's car. I thought it was the other one. No, that doesn't happen. So we don't get the information on the accident. We don't get the video. We don't get the 911 call. We don't get the accident report, which they initially screwed up. And now they're just saying it was no big deal. And Shanahan's got to correct the accident report, saying, no, it was my fault. Something. Like I said, people, there's a consensus is that he had a female in the car, and the female wasn't his wife. So, and you know what? This is the stuff that gets, thrown out there. If you're not going to fess up, don't blame us for trying to speculate on what really went down. If you're not willing to tell us, you're leaving it open for us. You're inviting us. You're encouraging us. Go ahead, throw whatever you want out there. He was with a guy. Who knows? He was drunk. He was bombed. He had a hooker. Pick whatever you want to pick. He was calling FanDuel, getting a bet on the 49er win total. Who knows, right? But that's what happens. If you don't want to tell us, we'll speculate. And I'm telling you right now, as clear as day, there is more to this story than meets the eye right now. No two ways about it. You don't sit on a story in which the guy nearly kills himself. You wouldn't obviously be proud about it, bragging about it, but there would be no reason to bury this if it was in the middle of the season, maybe, because now, okay, the opposing team knows the head coach isn't going to be around for a little while. That I might buy. Even that's a little bit of a stretch, but okay, at least I see the strategic value in that. Having Shanahan not there for the opening week or so of training camp, who the hell cares? It's July, for goodness sakes. There is no logical reason that I can come up with outside of scandal that would make me say, okay, I understand why San Francisco would not want this to be let out. What could it be? What could it be? Unless it's something bad. Right? Now it's up to the San Fran, so-called insiders, the beat reporters who are there every single day. Again, this is like, are they stupid or are they not doing their job? Right? There just has to be somebody that knows a player. Maybe has a beef with Shanahan. Who knows? But somebody, like the team has to know, right? That they have to know if he was caught with a broad in the car or whatever the case may be. They have to know. So you're telling me out of all those beat reporters and how many, San Francisco prominent team, there's got to be, here in New York, there's 1,000 of them, but there's got to be 5, 6, 7, 8 guys there, right? I mean, and nobody has one contact, one player, one assistant coach, one secretary, one trainer, one ball boy, for goodness sakes, that is willing to spill the beans on really what happened. Or, again, they're covering it up, like apparently they did with the initial report, which I don't believe. I don't think they were told. I really don't. I'd rather have them be, ignorant to the facts than hiding the facts, personally. But now this stuff is out there where they have to come up with something. They just have to come up with something. You can't sit on this forever and not tell the world. The NFL has got to investigate this, right? I mean, we all know the NFL wants to be the be-all, end-all, no matter what happens in season, out of season, with a player, without a player. You're under investigation. You're under scrutiny. So the NFL has got to be doing an investigation, I would think. Because if, just saying, if it was a drunk driving incident, the NFL would say, okay, we have to punish you. So, very weird. There's, like I said, there's more to that than meets the eye. Definitely is. Speaking of meeting of the eye, let's hope this is just a little blip. Not that I'm a Raiders fan at all. But, Kirk Cousins was anointed the starting quarterback to start camp over Fernando Mendoza, number 1 overall draft choice for the Raiders, right? So camps open up this week. And then, we know Kirk is up there in age a little bit, right? He's had his injuries and everything else, but he's anointed the number 1 guy. Take a look. Someone was at camp and somehow or another got this picture. It's not AI. It's real. So look how bad it looks. Right, they're running 10-yard sprints there back and forth. We used to do that back in high school. Look how slow it is. Oh, man. I mean, I know they're not going balls out, but I think he is, actually. Like there, I think he is trying really, really hard. And then I think he fell behind so much, he just said, well, I better slow down and pretend I'm not really trying. He's going to get, if that's really Kirk Cousins right now, and he was going as fast as he possibly could, he's going to get killed. He is going to get killed. He may be able to throw the ball better than Mendoza. He may be able to read defenses better than Mendoza, call plays better than Mendoza. But if he's that slow, he's going to get killed. He's going to get killed. You can't play him being that slow. You just can't. Most of these quarterbacks that retire, it's not because their arm strength, gets that much weaker, maybe a little bit, right? It's not that they get dumber, they can't call plays or whatever, or read defenses. No, they're just too slow. And they know they're too slow. They'll get killed in the pocket. If you can't avoid a defensive, lineman, I'll say. I was going to say defensive end, but what's the difference? If you can't avoid a defensive lineman and allow your receivers to get further down the field and to get open, you're done, man. You're going to get, 1, you're going to get killed, and 2, you're not going to be any good. So that's what causes players to retire. The slowness, the quickness is gone. And that was as slow can be. My goodness, I can run, and I'm older than him, obviously. I could run faster than that. You were just anointed the starting quarterback. You'd think you'd be hustling, right? Like I said, I think he was. I think that's it. I wouldn't be betting on any over Kirk Cousins bets, whether it's touchdown passes or yards thrown or hell, even interceptions, because I don't think he's going to be in there long enough to throw that many interceptions. That was bad. Ooh, that was ugly looking. Speaking of retiring, Andrew Luck, what a strange, when you list guys who retire in their prime, you think of wrestlers, you think of boxers. I don't necessarily think of football play. Wrestlers and boxers would really be the one. Certain guys in football have retired, but it's usually big, fat offensive linemen that just, whatever. I'm tired of getting beaten up, right? But Andrew Luck retired, a few years back, and only 6 years in the league, which is, I knew it wasn't a lot, but I looked it up just because I knew I was going to talk about this. And he was only in the league 6 years, now 7 because he was injured the 1 year. But he only played, I should say, he only played 6 years. He retired when he was 29, at the top of his game, in his prime. I mean, in his absolute prime. And the Colts, the team he played for, were good. He was terrific, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Heck, he's still right now. He's only 36 right now. That's why, when what's his face came out of retirement last year, Phillip Rivers, there was buzz about how they asked Andrew Luck, and Luck just wanted no part of it. I mean, just his last year, they were 10-6. They went 11-5. His first 3 years, the Colts meeting, 11-5, 11-5, and 11-5. Then he got injured, only played 7 games. They went 2-5. Came back the next year, only 8-7. Didn't play in 2017 with a shoulder injury. Came back the following year, so it's not like he got hurt and said, that's it, I'm done. Came back the following year. They were 10-6. They were in all the, the playoffs / Super Bowl talk. And he just up and retired. It's simple as that. It wasn't anything, any injury. Barry Sanders would be another one, but Barry Sanders was in the league a long, long time. But that would have been another, NFL player that just kind of up and retired. He was past his prime, but he was still good, Barry. Don't get me wrong. But he wasn't like 29. So Luck was at one of the podcasts there explaining why he stepped away.
Of football when and I did not love football like you need to play quarterback. I think I also realized that to go back to playing quarterback, you're either like all in or you're not. It's to me, in my mind, the scheme of how you emotionally invested, physically, psychologically, spiritually invested in quarterback is like it's binary.
Right.
You either aren't or you are 100% in. And I hit a point in my life where I was like, I am unwilling to hop to the 100% in, so I can't do it.
Wow. He's such a weird dude, though, isn't he? I mean, all these binaries and this, and I just say you weren't interested anymore. That's, Rhodes Scholar or whatever he was at Stanford, right? Smart dude. I remember his father, Oliver Luck, right? So, but he does talk, a little bit like just dumb it down a little there, Andrew. Just say you weren't interested anymore. You weren't willing to do the work anymore. But 29 years old. So I saw that yesterday, and I was like, wow, yeah, I remember. They were talking about him coming back and everything else last year, but I don't know what would do that, right? Is it's the money? He never struck it rich in that, he had his first year or his first contract, 5 years, decent money. Must have signed a new contract after that, I'm sure, but only played 1 year, but got 2. So I'm sure they get paid in 2017 despite his injury, and 2018. And then that was it. So listen, I'm sure he's got enough money for 5, lifetimes, if you live like we do. But as far as being rich, multi-millionaire and everything, no, I don't think he had that kind of money. So I don't think it was he got spoiled with the money. How do you play high school football, grammar? Listen, he's been football his whole life. His father was a quarterback in West Virginia. So he was around football his whole life, played in high school, played in college, NFL, high level, successful. And then just all of a sudden, not interested anymore. See you later. On a good team, not a bad team. Like I said, Colts were a good team. Weird. I'd like to see, if I did interviews like that, the follow-up question would be, okay, so you quit because you didn't really have the interest anymore. What do you think caused that? Like this dope says, Wetzel says, you play football your whole life. All of a sudden at 29, you decide you don't like football anymore. You make a gazillion dollars. You're on a good team. You're on, early on, but you're on pace for a, Hall of Fame career, something your dad wasn't. And you just, what would cause that? What do you think caused that? But yeah, Michael Grant writes in, good one, Michael. Jim Brown retired in his prime. Yeah, that's another good one. Again, not quite 29. And for a quarterback, you could play till you're 39, 40, as we've seen with some of these quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. But let's keep it realistic. He's got a good 6-7 years left. Jim Brown didn't have that, but Brown was at the top of his game when he just said, I'm going to the movies. Going to go make some movies. So that's a good one. Yeah. He also says Stanky fans are pissed off because they lost 2 games against the White Sox. Not only, Mike, did they lose 2 games against the White Sox, these last 2 games, but 2 walk-off winners for the Chicago White Sox. I figured they were live dogs. That's a good example of what I like to do. I didn't bet the White Sox the first game. I kind of forgot, or I had other plays. They lost. Then I bet them the second game, and they ended up losing that game. And then I said, all right, I'm going to come right back to them, right? Because I don't think they're going to lose 3 straight to the Stanks at home. And I bet them 2 days ago, and then the little flyer on them last night. So, yeah, again, I like to bet series versus pitching matchups, even though the pitching matchup really was, sided towards the Yankees, as it will be with their starting staff against most teams. But, yeah, the two horrible losses by the Stankies. Boy, they just they can't if they don't get Stanton. It's amazing. He's been hurt so many times, Giancarlo Stanton, and he's been out so long this year. He's almost like a forgotten guy. Like, I live here in New York, and whenever you talk about the Stankies and how poorly they're doing hitting-wise and everything else, it's always about Aaron Judge. Always. I mean, if 100 people mention the Yankee deficiencies when it comes to hitting, it's all 99 of them will say, yeah, we got to wait for Aaron Judge to get back, or yeah, we miss Aaron Judge, or the Judge is the straw that stirs the drink, if you will. No one ever mentions Giancarlo Stanton, even though Stanton, I don't know if he's just as good, but he's still pretty darn good, right? Stanton on is pretty darn good, but man, you talk about a contract that he really just screwed over everybody. He hasn't played since April 24th. April 24th with a rib injury or cage injury or something stupid that he always seems to have, hamstring, whatever it is this time. But he's such a forgotten figure around here that it's everything's about Judge. So Stankies have an afternoon game against the Cubbies. I actually think they're live dogs today. I did personally put a couple shekels on them today. I didn't think with Will Warren on the hill, I didn't think the Cubbies deserved to be that big of a favorite. I'm not a big believer in this Cubs team. Imanaga's on the hill. He's okay. Nothing special. Chicago was in nearby St. Louis, but at least the Yanks were in Chicago anyway, taking on the White Sox. But I thought getting plus 130 or so with the Stanks was actually a pretty good deal. But anyway, back to luck. Yeah, so kind of strange when I saw that. Big Ten Media Days are this week, and they continued. Take a quick little break. We'll come back. Indiana's Curt Cignetti had a couple of interesting comments, and Michigan fans, I'd be a little concerned. Listen, they've been in a lot of trouble. So they probably need a Kyle Whittingham new head coach. But, boy, I don't think you're going to really like what he said yesterday. We'll get to that. How about $1 million? How about $10 million being bet on Shohei Ohtani? And then our NFL quirky things as we check out every single NFL schedule. All that's coming up right here on the Scott Wetzel Show on FanStreamSports.com.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hello, folks. Let's talk a little bit about turf life. What is turf life? It's pretty much if your life involves turf in any way, shape, or form, you live the turf life. Go ahead and brand yourself with the turf life. Maybe a back window decal, maybe a hat. You know where you can get those kinds of things? To showcase that your life revolves around sports and or anything that involves sports. If it's a sports business or sports education or just your enjoyment of the outdoors, head over to turflifeclub.com. Become a turf head. Join the club today. You can do that by going to that said website that I just told you to go to. You can snag your window decal like I was talking about, or any of your other turf life accessories. Show everybody that you live the turf life, and we'll see you there, over there at that turflifeclub.com.
Although it may seem tempting to go without health care insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call. So why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505.
Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go!
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStreamSports.com, FanStreamSports.com. Talking a little NFL, little scheduling that we'll get to here in a second, and we get some Big Ten college football talk as well, and then we're talking Kyle Shanahan. So I mentioned one guy, Matt, on Twitter, is we're going back and forth, me saying that there's more to this story than meets the eye, right? So he's not buying into it. He just says, no, nothing happened. So his reasoning, and I appreciate the input there, Matt, I do. They didn't disclose the accident, Scott, because there was no crime, and Kyle was in no condition to answer questions. Still isn't. Well, first up, Matt, that's not true. The guy's on his feet. He's at training camp. I think the dude can answer a question. That hospital bed picture was from 2 weeks ago. That wasn't from yesterday. He's on practice right now. Clerical error was made by the state, not on site. So what? That's where we're saying he's got his connections with the state. I'm not blaming the police officers who were there, but the police officers who were there had to say what happened, right? So how does the police officer say Kyle Shanahan was at fault and the clerk misguides that into the opposing person was at fault? That doesn't happen by accident. Again, that's not adding a 0 or deleting a 1. When error was discovered, Kyle took the blame. Of course he did, because he knew that the lady that he hit was probably going to sue him. You're going to blame me? My insurance is going to go up, and you think I'm going to take the blame because you rear-ended me? No freaking way. He had no choice but to say it was his fault. And then the police confirmed no suspicion of DUI. Yeah, according to the police. But that's our whole premise, that the police are part of the cover-up. We're not saying the NFL is part of the cover-up. We're not saying San Francisco isn't just part of the cover-up. We're saying it's the police department as well, the state as well. So, because they said DUI wasn't part of the equation, I'm not necessarily believing that. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. If Shanahan had any guts and any balls, he'd talk to the media. Was there a broad? And I noticed he didn't mention anything about a female being in the car. He didn't mention that, and that seems to be, the overwhelming thinking that he had someone in the car that shouldn't have been in the car with him. Who knows? All I know, we'll get to. Hopefully, we will get to the bottom of this somewhere along the line. All right, college football yesterday. The Big Ten Media Day continued here, and we'll start with Indiana. Right, they're the defending champs. They're worthy of that. So Curt Cignetti, who I'm trying to figure out. It's kind of like Caitlin and Clark. Is she good looking or isn't she? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Yeah, I don't know. Curt Cignetti, do I like him? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't know. Here he is talking yesterday about the Big Ten. Oops, hold on a second. There we go.
Big Ten is the best league in football.
No, it's not.
And a lot of really good football teams. It's hard to win on the road. Very physical football teams, very well coached. It definitely prepares you for the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. The numbers speak for themselves. I mean, we don't run a hype machine up here in the Midwest. We believe everything's earned, not given. And when we fall short, we say we fell short. We don't cry a river, whine, and complain. All right? And that's why we're the best.
Coach Cignetti, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Clearly taking a shot at the SEC, right? Now, listen, I can't tell you. If I had $1 for every time I did a SEC's overrated show, I'd be rich right now, right? I lived on that. I always thought they were just top heavy, from top to bottom. I always thought the Big 12 in general was the better conference. But I want to be fair about it, right? But I always said, yeah, okay, they're winning national championships with Georgia and Alabama, through the years. But, and overall, this was before Texas and Oklahoma joined. I said, they're not any better than anybody else, right? So I say that because I want you to realize I'm a SEC basher for the most part. But that said, you can't sit there, Kurt, with a straight face and tell me the Big Ten is better than the SEC. You just can't. You have 4 teams, maybe 5 in the Big Ten that are worth anything. And I'll throw Indiana, you have to, in there, right? Ohio State, year in, year out, okay. Oregon, year in, year out, okay. Michigan, it really has only been recently, but overall, they've been really, above average for sure, right? That's it. That's maybe you want to go a halvesy, if you will, between Iowa and Washington, and that's what I'll do. And then, like, 1 year Iowa's pretty good, 1 year Washington's pretty good. Can you count on them year in, year out? Not be a national championship worthy. Let's put it that way. Iowa. You know how many games? Someone sent this out. I meant to look this up. Little pop quiz. Guess how many games Iowa has played without having a 300-yard passing quarterback in one game? 78 games. Is that possible? I mean, there's only 12 games, a bowl game, 13 games in a season. That's 13, 26, 52, 65, That's 6 years. It's been 7 years, so year later. It's 7 years since the last time they've had a quarterback throw for 300 yards. Is that possible? And that's one of their better teams in the conference, the Big Ten, Iowa. So Purdue sucks. Maryland blows. Michigan State, awful. Wisconsin, within the last 2 years, they've been bad, but they have been pretty good. I'll give them their due, but I'll throw them in there with Michigan and Iowa. Every once in a while, they'll have a really good team. But Rutgers stinks. Penn State never won a big game, since who knows when. Northwestern, up and down. UCLA blows. Nebraska, I'm a Nebraska fan, blows. Minnesota sucks. Illinois sucks. There's not any great teams. You got 2 or 3 teams, year in, year out, realistically. Ohio State, Oregon, and really that's it. But we'll throw Indiana in there, like I said, because they've done well. So to be pounding your chest, when you got 50,000 teams, like the 50,000 teams outside of, I'll again throw Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan. How many Penn State? You want to say Penn State? Although it's been a Joe Paterno long time since they won a national championship. But you want to say they're national championship worthy? I'll give you 5. Iowa's never won a national championship. They're not winning a national championship. USC's not winning a national championship. We went over that yesterday with their overrated head coach. Nebraska, those days are long. Wisconsin, long. They never won a national championship anyway. Long gone. You have 5 teams. SEC, and I think that's a stretch. You got Georgia, you got Alabama, you got Texas, you got Oklahoma, you have Tennessee, you have LSU, you have Florida. There's 7 teams right there that if I told you won the national championship year in, year out, not specifically this year, you'd be like, okay, I get that, I won't give you Texas A&M because they've never won. Won't give you Ole Miss because, this little reprieve they're on, it might end this season. Won't give you, Auburn or Mississippi State or South Carolina. But you have 7, or even Missouri, which is generally pretty good. You have 7 absolute. So it is deeper. Long story short, it's deeper. Now, that said, yesterday we had Kyle Whittingham, who's the head coach of Michigan, talk about the rivalry with Ohio State. One of, if not the biggest rivalries in all of college football, right? Honestly, being objective, there's probably no bigger one than Ohio State, Michigan. That's the one, Auburn, Alabama is pretty good, and Clemson, South Carolina, pretty good. UCLA, USC, pretty good. But, just plant Joe Schmo in Topeka, Kansas, and he could watch one college football game, it would be Michigan, Ohio State, right? That carries the torch. Now, that was Michigan with all the scandals. In comes Mr. Clean, Kyle Whittingham.
Dynamic was, I know it's, I thought Ryan was a pretty good guy when I met with him, or not met with him, but interacted with him in the Rose Bowl. And based on what, again, Urban has told me about it, I just think that a rivalry can be intense and emotional without the hatred factor in it. I don't think there's any place for that personally. I think Ryan Day's a good person, and to sit here and say I hate Ryan Day, I'd be making crap up, because that's not true.
Wow, that's not good. That's so much for that rivalry. Listen, there's nothing wrong with hating somebody. You're not trying to kill him. You don't wish the guy dead. You just say, I hate him. That's what college sports is all about. That's rivalries, right? This guy's tuning it down. He's trying not to. I understand that, but you don't say, oh, he's a nice guy. You just say, listen, it's Ohio State, and we don't like Ohio State. We want to kick their ass every single year. And they want to kick our butts every single year. I respect their head coach, like I hope he respects me. But, our goal is to beat the snot out of Ohio State, and we won't rest until we do. That's how you play it off. You don't play it off as, this guy's a nice guy. I don't want to hate him. I know it's the biggest rivalry in sports, but he's a nice dude. I played him one time at a bowl game. I laid down. He let me cover the spread. If you watch the game, I remember it. They let us cover the spread. He's a good guy, Ryan Day. Wow, pretty weak, very, very weak. So, anyway, that's your Big Ten Media Day. I wanted to get into the Indiana thing here. I don't know if Indiana's going away. They got Josh Hoover, TCU quarterback. He was pretty good last year. Had 29 touchdown passes, tied for 9th best in the nation. Almost 3,500 yards, 16th best. Only 13 interceptions. Nice little QBR. So he'll be a pretty good quarterback. Right. I mean, and he's obviously, Cignetti, you got to give him credit. Going back to his James Madison days, he was bringing quarterbacks in. This is his 6th straight year, from what I was reading, that he's going to have a one and done, meaning a new quarterback into the system. So if you're thinking, well, maybe the kid is going to take too long, maybe he will. But, he's had a knack of bringing in quarterbacks and working his magic and going from there. So, I don't know if I'm rooting. I don't know if I should put the black cloud on him. I don't know if I like him or not. I really don't. I do respect him. I'll tell you that. I never in a million years, I told you about that, did I ever. If you told me all the crazy things that have happened over the years, Indiana winning the national championship in college football would be absolutely just at the top. Just at the top. If you would have told me that, 40 years ago, pick one or 30 years ago. Never. I can see Tampa Bay winning the World Series. I can see all these crazy things. That team is so bad. I just didn't see it happening. So FanDuel, let me see what they have as far as their over-under before I get into their schedule. College football, win totals. I'm guessing 8.5, maybe 9.5. Let's see. 10.5. Even money to the over. All right, are they going to go 11? So I was going to say over, but are they going to go 11-1? Let's look at their schedule. North Texas, Howard, Western Kentucky. What a joke. You can't win the national championship and have that kind of schedule. You just can't. Find a way. Then they got Northwestern at home. All right, so they're going to be 4-0. They play at Rutgers. All right, they're going to be 5-0. At Nebraska, little test. Their little gauntlet is October 10th, 17th, 24th. At Nebraska, Ohio State at home, at Michigan. That's where they're going to pay the price for playing North Texas, Howard, and Western Kentucky. Then they got Minnesota. They got USC at home. They got at Washington. Boy, I don't know. I see more than one. You could certainly lose to Michigan on the road. You could certainly lose to Ohio State anywhere. They do get the USC game. I wish USC was on the road, but at least they got Washington on the road. I haven't done my college football research yet to figure out how these teams are really going to be good. I'm just basing it on general knowledge of teams. But I thought that would be 8.5 or maybe even 9.5. I don't see 11-1 with that schedule. The under is only -122. Well, I tell you what, if he posts back-to-back years like he had last season and 2 years ago, that's pretty darn good. That really is. So I'm more inclined to think that it's going to go under, even though they lost a lot of guys from last year's team. So that's pretty tough. That really is. All right. Couple of other things here. Did we get Marc Lawrence, Tim, by the way, just before I know what I should be going into next? Is Mark coming on top of the hour?
Don't see him in the room yet.
All right. So,
but he did respond saying he was all good.
Oh, okay. All right. So we got Marc Lawrence coming up at the top of the hour. So I wasn't sure about that before I wanted to get into all this other stuff. How about the 4-letter network? Boy, what does this tell you about their thoughts on Ryan Clark? Right. So we had the layoffs this week. And in general, I just let people do their own thing. And I don't necessarily need to bring up the 4-letter network. All right. But Carl Ravitch, it was noted, was working last night's Nationals-Braves game. So what? Well, remember, he was one of the guys that got fired. So what? Well, he got fired. What's he doing on TV? If he got fired, he was one of the men that got purged. And the thinking was, or the thought apparently was, that they allowed him to finish out his contract, which included some more MLB games and the Little League World Series, if he wanted to. And he said yes, I guess, and is going to finish out the series. So what? Well, one, that's a rarity in our industry. That is a complete when you're fired, no matter if it's TV, radio, that's it. You're out the door. And if you need further proof, don't forget about what they did with what's his face, Ryan Clark. Not only did they fire him and pull him off the air that day, they fired him and pulled him off the air mid-show. So you got a guy you're firing that you won't even let complete the show that he's in the in the time doing, and then yet you're going to allow another guy to not only finish the show he was working on that day, but finish out another month's worth of shows or whatever ends up the Little League World Series is. I mean, so what is that? If they're going to let Ravage do it, which, whatever, why wouldn't they let Ryan do it? What does that tell you about what they think about, Ryan Clark? They must really have not liked him, right? And for whatever reason, we talked about all the issues, like him or not like him, but that was just a little weird. Because I tuned on the game and I'm like, that sounds like Carl Ravage. Is it a Ravage? And, so then I go on Twitter and then I see a bunch of guys, tweeting out that he's working the game and they thought he got fired. I'm like, yeah, that's right. I thought he got fired. How's he doing the game? Right. And then they later sent out that was the story, that apparently they gave him the option. He chose, to finish out his contract. But again, I don't, whatever. Well, why would you then pull Ryan Clark off the air midstream in the middle of a show? For goodness sakes, in the middle of his show, he got whacked. And yet this guy gets to finish out another month's worth of work? Wow. Interesting. One more before we take a break. How good is my guy Tim Tebow? This world is so like, how do you want to describe it? It's so whatever. It is so screwed up, right? We need somebody. Is there some... all the bozos the Democrats are offering up. If you hate Trump and you hate Vance and you don't want to go down that road another 4 years, right? I've always said, well, give us a guy. Give us the middle. I'm not anal pro-Trump and I'm not anal anti-Trump. I'm kind of middle. I lean more towards Trump, though. I will say, right? But I always spit out. Give me an option. Give me if you don't want Trump, all right, give me someone better than a 95-year-old senile man or some broad who couldn't spell cat if you spotted the C and a T. Give me something I can choose from, right? And no one seems to come up with anyone. But I have the answer. The president that will really unite this country is my guy.
Just show up with the mindset of like, I'm competing with Chris, but also for him as a team.
What do you mean? What do you mean for him?
That I'm on his team and he's on the same team I'm on. Like when I get to go in the game, I'm trying to do good for him so he gets to come back on the field, right? We're competing for each other.
Right.
Like in practice, you're competing against sometimes, but I think average competitors, and I mean this more in a mindset, not talent, average competitors want to beat someone when they're weaker. Elite competitors want to beat people at their best.
Yeah.
And that I would challenge myself. No, I want him to do good. I just want to do better.
Are you?
How good is that? What that reminds me of?
Because
that reminds
I played a part in.
That reminds me of. There we go. I double clicked them. That reminds me of the great All in the Family scene when when Edith isn't talking to Archie really, but they're playing cards, right? And she cheats and allows him to win. And he says, "You're not human." His big thing: "You're not human. You're not human. You don't even cheat to win. You cheat to lose." That's like Tim Tebow. You don't even want to root for yourself. You want to root for the guy you're trying to beat out for the starting job. That's how great that Tim Tebow is. I'm telling you, one guy that could unite whites, blacks, males, female. I mean, how could you possibly not like Tim Tebow? Right? I mean, the guy is just a saint. He's just a saint. He says and does nothing wrong. I don't think there is, 99.9999999 people in the world, you'll find something that's got to be bad, that'll ruin his character image, right? Now with Tim Tebow, I'm telling you, if that guy ever decided to run for president, he'd win in a landslide, in an absolute landslide. How would you compete? How would you get him in a debate and try and make him look bad? You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. The guy's too good. He's too good. So speaking of good, Marc Lawrence, he's great. Picking games, picking winners, college football, NFL. The great playbook preview book is out. We'll talk to Mark on the other side when we come back right here on a Football Friday on the Scott Wetzel Show on FanStream Sports.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Hey, folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hello, folks. Let's talk a little bit about turf life. What is turf life? It's pretty much if your life involves turf in any way, shape, or form, you live the turf life. Go ahead and brand yourself with the turf life. Maybe a back window decal, maybe a hat. You know where you can get those kinds of things to showcase that your life revolves around sports and or anything that involves sports. If it's a sports business or sports education or just your enjoyment of the outdoors, head over to turflifeclub.com. Become a turf head. Join the club today. You can do that by going to that said website that I just told you to go to. You can snag your window decal like I was talking about or any of your other turf life accessories. Show everybody that you live the turf life, and we'll see you there over there at that turflifeclub.com.
Although it may seem tempting to go without health care insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call. So why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505.
Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStreamSports.com, FanStreamSports.com, YouTube as well. Hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything for all you old timers that are worried about that. You don't get an email. Just we send you our show. That's all it is. Just hit the subscribe button, if you will, please. All right, getting set for a little college football, little NFL. So with that, let us welcome in our good buddy Marc Lawrence from PlaybookSports.com. What's going on, Mark? How are you this Football Friday?
Hey, I'm just terrific, Scott. How's everything going in the Scott Wetzel world?
I've been having my ups and downs this summer, but fortunately, more ups than downs. So, but you know how things go. That is for sure. So, I see the playbook is out. My favorite little preview book. There it is. Curt Cignetti. We were talking about him today. Not that it was a difficult. Well, maybe it was. I won't answer the question. Why Cignetti on the cover of a playbook this year?
Well, I would say why not?
Right.
Everything that he did last year was just absolutely mind-blowing. He went from absolutely the worst to best last football season here. They were a team that I think they were third time all-time lowest in net wins in college football dating back to 1900. And he takes them from where they were to a 16-0 football season here. That's absolutely incredible. And it's not just Indiana that he's done it with, Scott. He's done it at a couple other stops along the way. This guy is for real. And I don't think there's going to be a step back for Indiana here this year. Not 16-0, but I don't think they'll take too many steps back this year as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, before we get into that, it's just this story with Indiana. It is fascinating. I've said this before, and I brought it up again before you came on. Watching football, college football, all sports, really. If you would have told me 30 years ago, give me the craziest notion in the world, out of all the things that have occurred, Indiana winning the national championship in college football would be at the top of my list. And I don't even think it would be close. I mean, that is like, they were so bad, as you were saying, right? For so many years, even the Lee Corso, they were okay. Antoine Randall L was there. They were okay for a year or two, but nothing like national champ. No freaking way. And yet this guy, I know the NIL stuff is a little different, but that doesn't mean any other school's doing it, right? I mean, what he has done at that non-football school is just remarkable. It really is.
Well, he's had the luxury of Mark Cuban as his main backer, and he brings a lot of talent, spends a lot of money for that football program, and Cignetti takes advantage of it. He went out, and I think he had the 8th highest spend for his team this year. Indiana did. Last year, they had the 4th highest spend. So, like I say, they're going to bring a lot of talent in this football program here as long as the connection's there between Mark Cuban and the Indiana Hoosiers.
Yeah. So over-under this year on them is 10.5. I was looking at the schedule. I was all set to bet the over. I thought it would be maybe, without doing my college football research just yet. I knew they brought in the kid from TCU, but I was hoping it was like 8.5, maybe 9.5 mark, but 10.5, you got to go 11-1. They play Michigan, they play Ohio State, they got USC, they play Washington on the road. I don't know if they're going 11-1. What do you think?
I don't think they are either, Scott. I think I'd play that under just because they have to win 11 games to cash that ticket, and they're more likely not to win 11 games than they are this football season. Even though I feel they're still going to be right in the top 4, I think it comes down to them being in the Final Four, maybe the semifinals of the college football playoff. This is still a damn good team with Curt Cignetti coaching it for sure.
Yeah. FanDuel and the like seem to have Ohio State, Notre Dame 1-2 national championship. FanDuel right now, anyway. Ohio State's plus 550, Notre Dame 650, Oregon 750, and so on down the line. Give me 2 or 3 possibilities to win the national championship in your world.
Well, let's just look at the people that lay out the money, Scott. Just follow the money is all you have to do in college football these days, because all it does is stocks football teams. And I put Texas and Ohio State in the championship game.
Mhm.
And if I can just give you a Cliff Notes why,
Sure.
because they are the top 2 spenders of all of college football for talent this football season here. They lay out the money. They've got the talent. Ohio State's always had the talent. And I think they've got some serious talent on that football team this year. Texas really disappointed last year. I think Manning's going to have a comeback season this year. He's really, really talented enough to do so. I'm going to make Texas the bounce back team, put him in the final game with Ohio State.
All right. So you're high on Arch, huh?
I'm high on Arch. I was a little bit disappointed last year to see what happened to him. He looked like he was a man, or children amongst men. He did last football season, but he's a Manning and he's got it in his blood, and it's not going to end up being troubled times for Arch Manning forever. I think you're going to see him really mature this football season here, and all that talent that's around him. Remember, second highest leading spender in all of college football. They'll protect him and he'll get the job done.
What do you think about Irish this year, Notre Dame?
Well, the Irish are, I think they're going to be real good. They happen to be the number 1 ranked team in all of college football this year in returning production rankings. That's if you add up all the players that are on this team for the amount of games they played last year, starts, times, minutes played, and everything, they are number 1 overall. Notre Dame is. And the reason I hit on that is because those are Bill Connelly's numbers, who does a great job with ESPN. And I've been charting since he's been putting these out, and I keep all of his I call them RPRs, returning production rankings. I keep them all in a spreadsheet. And if you follow the team that was number 1 ranked in the Connelly RPR rankings here, you have made a fortune, money-wise. Okay, these football teams have really, really fared well. The only step back was Clemson last football season here. And yes, you're not going to throw a no-hitter every year, but Notre Dame number 1 this year. And they'll have the little bit of a chip on their shoulder, I think, this year as well.
Interesting. LSU, with Lane Kiffin going over there, everyone expects them to be like Ole Miss last season. I was looking at their schedule, Mark. Man, they got a brutal schedule. I know they got a lot of talent, and I know he spent $1 gazillion there. In fact, one of the things he said in the media days this past week was that he's already spent more money this year at LSU, NIL money, than he spent at Ole Miss in the last 6 years combined. So,
really?
Yeah. So they got some kids, but man, they got a tough schedule this year.
He's not afraid to spend people's money, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I equate this way, Scott, much like the Olympic team, okay, when President Trump intervened and turned that red card over, and then the rest of the World Cup teams just were seething for what he did. And they targeted the U.S. team. They weren't going to go anywhere. They were the hit team. And I think the same thing happens to
Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin this football season here as well, because of the way he left Mississippi. It was just absolutely tragic, the manner in which he left the school. He went for the money, he went for the dollars, and now he lives in the toughest neighborhood in all of college football. And every game, every week is going to be a tough game for this football program. He's not going to be able to withstand shot after shot after shot. I think they're going to be the disappointing team in the SEC this year.
I like that. I think so too. Their over-under's 8.5, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that means 9-3. And again, you look at that schedule, man, it is just one war after another.
Monstrous, yes.
Yeah,
right.
Crazy. I don't quite get, Mark, why the LA Rams are that much of an overwhelming favorite in the NFL. I get why they're the favorite. With the additions they made, and I'm assuming they think Aaron Donald's going to come out of retirement, like he probably will, right? But they're plus 550, and the next best team, if you will, the Buffalo Bills, are 10-1. That's almost double the price. Like, I get the Rams being favored, but man, I don't think they should be that much of a favorite. Do you?
No, I don't at all. It's all this love of the coach, Sean McVay, who's really, really a good head coach. Myles Garrett going over there, and God forbid if Aaron Donald seams himself into that lineup as well. They'll even be worse. They'll even go up a half a win on the season here.
Yeah.
And again, I think they may be the target team. They live in a real tough neighborhood too, that there's nothing weak at all about the NFC West where they live. And you're going to get some tough games from this football team. And they have a lot of travel miles on their schedule here this year. Only San Francisco travels more than do the LA Rams this year. And that stuff absolutely comes up and bites you in the last month of the football season in December. That's when they begin to wane, and you'll look and see why. Oh, I see why. They traveled 38,000 miles this year. That's number 2 in the country. So I think they're going to be a bit disappointing here this year as well.
Yeah, they got 3 sets. I was looking, in fact, in your playbook. One of the things I enjoy about it, I was looking and seeing, everyone's schedule and finding little quirks. And with the Rams, they have 3 sets of back-to-back road games, and then they open up with San Francisco over in Australia as well. So it is a difficult schedule for them. Is Seattle repeating in your world?
No. I don't like to back teams that sort of caught everybody by surprise. And I think you'd have to say for us, Seattle winning the Super Bowl was a surprise. If you polled 10 NFL fans, I'm sure 9 of them would say yes. The only one that wouldn't would be a Seattle fan. But I think they'll be targeted this year as well. I think San Francisco, if some way, somehow Kyle Shanahan can avoid the injury bug that plagues this football team year after year after year, if they can shake that this football season, I think they're going to win the NFC West, but they have to shake that injury bug.
Yeah, and then you're right, boy. They have been just beset by injuries, and now you got his issue off the field that we were talking about before you came on. Right. Who knows what happened with that, right? I mean,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But the consensus was, Mark, that he had someone in the car that probably shouldn't have been in the car. And that's why there was the big cover up. I don't know if we'll ever get to the real story, but Twitter world, that's their version according to Twitter world.
Well, is there a Mrs. Shanahan? Is that the first?
Yes,
one?
there is.
Okay, well, that's probably leading down the right path then. Okay.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, all right. So then, if not Seattle, you think San Fran's actually winning it all then, when everything is said and done?
I think San Francisco's got a real good chance. I think that the West is a little bit more wide open than the AFC is or the NFC is. And I have to make San Francisco my choice to win this thing, to come out of there. There's also, you have a factor here with the Philadelphia Eagles, and you're going to ask them to win their division 3 years in a row. They hadn't repeated in 20 years, winning it back-to-back, which they did last year. And I think there's a lot of upheaval on that football team here right now. It started with the wide receiver being traded, A.J. Brown. I think this football team is going to end up being a real disappointing team, the Philadelphia Eagles, this football season.
A lot of people saying that, Mark, about the New England Patriots. Like it was such a great run they had last year, but they're ready to jump off the bandwagon. They don't think that they can duplicate that.
No, number one, their schedule is that of a first-place team. Last year it was a schedule last-place team. So they got to pay the penance this year for that. Number two, we know they're going to be targeted. And number three, you don't find Super Bowl winners that come out of nowhere and win a Super Bowl that oftentimes come back and perform as well the next football season here. I think they're a dead nuts under New England is this football season.
Yeah. When do you start breaking down the actual games and then going over all that? Or maybe you have already with some of these college football games.
Well, we're going to start with the with the preseason here. We're going to do the Hall of Fame game is just going to be a little a small little one, but we'll have our preseason guide out for all the preseason football games a week from Thursday. It'll be on our site at playbooksports.com. And we cover the entire preseason when we do that. So we'll break open the well-oiled machine. We'll get all the best and the worst situations that evolve, that are in there in the world in NFL preseason. And some people say you don't bet preseason. And I think that's pure garbage because, it is the one time of the year. A good friend of mine, Ralph Michaels, often says this. That's the one time of the year that you'll find coaches that don't want to win playing coaches that do want to win. That's a nice little collision.
Yeah, there's definitely trends. I enjoy it too, right? There are definitely trends. So,
sure.
Playbook Sports is the website. What else you got? Because I know you got a lot on there. What can people find on your website?
Well, you'll find our magazine, Scott, the one we're talking about right here as we're doing it now. This is the Playbook Football Preview Guys magazine. I got to show that puppy because I'm still paying the printer.
That's okay. That's okay. That's why you're on. You got to sell.
Yeah, but you can download, and they're going fast too. I can't believe how. I think this is going to be a real up year for the fans because I can just, if I put a pulse on it and a gauge of what I'm seeing here, we're going to run out of these things here in about 2 weeks.
Cool.
And yeah, really, really cool. So you might want to get them while you have a chance. Really, really good. We've just revamped our whole total website. So it's a nice site to fall onto to find a lot of great winning information. And I'm also writing a Substack column, and you'll be able to read that If you're a Substacker, it's a really, really great place to find articles and do everything. And I'll be covering college and pro football on Substack.com, marklawrence.substack.com.
All right, cool. And then you got all your other packages and everything else at playbooksports.com. You got your coffee club there, I know, as well. So, yeah, great book. It is. I've told you that. We talked. You know, I love your book. It's
Well, the
concise
coffee
enough.
club, I sent you the coffee club this morning. I don't know if you got it or not. But anybody that subscribes to any publication that I have gets the coffee club in their inbox every day from the day they sign up until the Super Bowl. So that's a real nice little read.
Cool. Mark, great job as always, man. Do appreciate a couple minutes, and we'll do it again soon.
Hey, my pleasure as always, Scott. Be well, stay safe, and enjoy the games.
There you go. Marc Lawrence, playbooksports.com, playbooksports.com. Take a quick little break, and then we'll come back with a couple things we got to get into, including NFL quirks in the schedule. Some weird things that, that the NFL you'd think wouldn't allow to have happen, but they did. So we'll check down every single team's schedule when we come back on the other side. The Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStreamSports.com.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Hey, folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hello, folks. Let's talk a little bit about turf life. What is turf life? It's pretty much if your life involves turf in any way, shape, or form, you live the turf life. Go ahead and brand yourself with the turf life. Maybe a back window decal, maybe a hat. You know where you can get those kinds of things to showcase that your life revolves around sports and or anything that involves sports. If it's a sports business or sports education or just your enjoyment of the outdoors, head over to turflifeclub.com. Become a turf head. Join the club today. You can do that by going to that said website that I just told you to go to. You can snag your window decal like I was talking about, or any of your other turf life accessories. Show everybody that you live the turf life, and we'll see you there over there at that turflifeclub.com.
Although it may seem tempting to go without health care insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669 1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call, so why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505.
Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStream Sports on a football Friday. Boy, we have a lot to get to here. Normally we end at like about an hour and a half or so. We might, poor Tim, we might go 2 hours, Tim. I'll try and get it done a little bit. First up, though, again, thanks to Marc Lawrence, playbooksports.com. Marc, good friend of mine. Hopefully we have him on every Friday during the football season. He gives out the free picks to us. Go to his website, playbooksports.com. He's got all the packages, throws out the free picks. He's got a lot to offer there. So, and the magazine is great. I do like it. I know, not BSing. It's a good combination of, it's got all the against the spread stats, all the trends you could ever want, ATS numbers for the last 10 years. They gives the coach, his records. It's a good reference book, right? I mean, it's some of these preview books. First of all, there aren't that many anymore. Some of them are just a little bit, just too much information. It's just like, man, I don't got that much time. I just don't, brother. Give me just details, how many kids are coming back? What was this? What was that? The draft for the NFL teams. So it is one of my favorite books, playbooksports.com. I see where the president has announced the U.S. has broken a ceasefire with Israel and Hamas yesterday. Yeah, sure. Okay, Hamas has agreed to disarm in Gaza. Yeah, sure. I've been living 50 plus years, and that place has been in war 50 all plus years. So I really doubt that that's going to be the case. But okay, knock yourself out if you want to believe that. As far as some more sports stuff, right? Before we get into the NFL, which I will do here in a second. How about see the Ohtani card? They have this card. It's a pretty good scam. It really is. It's a clear case of less is more. So they created this Topps Chrome baseball card, as it's called. Only one, Ohtani. It's an autograph card. They only made one, a gold Logomon, whatever the hell that is, gold patch of the Major League Baseball logo, found inside just a regular deck of cards. Not deck of cards, but baseball cards that you would buy, right? So they only put one. It was valued at like $1 million, couple $1 million, right? So some dude down in Florida actually found it. It was a collector. He got it, purchased the card or sold the card. Some guy bought it for $10 million. $10 stinking million for a baseball card just because it's the only one. Of course, next year they'll probably have another one. Hell, maybe later this year. They always did, the old school, they used to have traded sets. Like after the baseball trade deadline, when you had all these teams, trading players away, they would come off with a traded set. So it's like an updated set. I don't know if they still do that because I haven't collected baseball cards in a long time. But if they do, they'll probably do another one with Ohtani. And so that $10 million you just spent on this card, that is one of one. But if you have 5, 6, 10, 20 one of ones, what makes yours any more valuable than the other one? It won't. So, man, not a bad little gimmick. I respect companies that come up with little gimmicks like, that's pretty darn good. Don't do 10 of these and make them be worth $1 million. Let's have one that we could say is worth $10 million. Crazy. And all for a guy that, listen, I think most of us really believe gambled, right? He's not going to get in any trouble, I don't think, unless he lets his buddy rot in jail and doesn't take care of him when he gets out of jail, which I doubt he would do. But, according to my world, I think they were gambling. The one guy was gambling for Ohtani. Ohtani didn't get on the phone and say, give me the Red Sox tonight 20 times, gambling lingo. But I think he went through his buddy, and I think his buddy was gambling so much that the bookie, Matthew Bauer, knew about it. So he's actually doing some interviews. He did one, and they're piecing it up, and they're sending it out on Twitter. So here he is talking about whether he believes Ohtani was actually betting or not.
I feel bad because I played a part in him being in prison. I at the end of the day, I always look at we're all accountable for our own actions, right? So I do feel a little guilt, though, that this gentleman's gambling addiction is put him in prison and then ruined his career and life. And now he's in a federal prison in Pennsylvania. And so I still have a little guilt for that. I also have a little guilt for Shohei Ohtani having a taboo to his name, because he really does a little bit. He's overcome that. But being known in this case and of course, everyone thinks he was the one putting in the bets, which the truth of the matter of that, I want to be clear, is the only people that know who really put these bets in is Shohei and Ippei. At the end of the day, do I believe Shohei put the bets in? No, I do not, because he was on the mound pitching at times when the bets were coming in. So I'm very confident he didn't put the bets in. Do I think he was aware of maybe his friend having a gambling problem? That part I think is a little questionable. But what's wrong with that?
Well, what's wrong with it is that you're stealing money from your buddy. That's it. So he doesn't think, listen, that's stupid though, because yes, maybe he wasn't calling up this dude or his buddy putting the bets in, but that doesn't mean he wasn't putting them in for Ohtani, and that he didn't talk to Ohtani beforehand and say, all right, who do you like tonight? Ohtani's not that stupid. He's not going to pull a Pete Rose and call up the bookie. He's going to have his buddy do it for him. No one expects him to be that dumb. So yeah, who knows, right? Who ultimately really knows? But I do believe he was gambling. I just don't. That's what they did in Japan. It's well known. It's popular in Japan. Players do it. Does he need the money? No, but it's as I told you yesterday, it's not about needing the money. It's about just the thrill of gambling. It's as simple as that. So I don't. Or at worst, he knew his buddy had a gambling problem, and he still allowed him to gamble, and didn't step in and gave him money. And that's his, that's like 8 men out, boy. You knew about a gambler. You may not have gambled yourself, but you didn't fess up. You didn't, you supplied him money. That's what a lot of the players with 8 men out got caught up with. So yeah, I think he knew. I do. So all right, NFL, here we go. So I like to go down all the schedules and just kind of see, who's got the weird schedule, right? So little nugget basically at every single team. I'll start with Arizona. They open up with 7 of their first 11 games on the road. They only have one road game over the last 7 weeks of the NFL season. You're going to find out about Arizona real quickly. I don't think they're going to be any good, but that's a brutal schedule. Now, the teams they play aren't necessarily tough, but when you open up 7-4 on the road, and that's you're asking for trouble, right? Good teams would be lucky to be 500, and we know they're not really a good team. They're looking at 3-8. They're looking down the barrel of 3-8, maybe 4-7. So I'd be careful, and I use this information when I go with the over-unders on their win totals. I would not be betting the over with that kind of schedule. Atlanta, they have something that a lot of teams have this year, which is a little weird. They got a mini bye. What do I mean? They play Thursday at Green Bay, September 24th, and then they don't play again until the following Monday. Monday, in this case, October 5th at New Orleans. So they get that extra day off. Obviously, if you're going to play Thursday one week, you're going to get a couple of days off when you play the following Saturday. But there are 3 or 4 teams, if not even more, that actually had that Thursday-Monday switch. I don't know why they would do that, but they are. And they got 3 sets, not 1, not 2, but 3 sets of back-to-back road games, which is never easy. So, again, their schedule is pretty easy, but there's a couple of spots there that kind of stand out. Baltimore's another team, another mini bye. They're at home against Jacksonville November 5th. That's a Thursday. Then they're home the following Monday against the LA Chargers, November 16th. 11 days off. I don't know why the NFL did that this year, but like I said, they did that a couple of times. Buffalo. Now, the AFC has the 9 road games this year. You know, they rotate 17 games. This year, it's the AFC's turn to have the 9 road games. With that said, they have 4 sets of back-to-back road games. That's tough. That's not easy. Then they also have back-to-back games and then a bye. They got October 12th against the Rams, October 18th. Oh, I know why I wrote that down. So, listen, they got a tough schedule. AFC East has all the teams have a brutal schedule this year. Just, you look at the games, it's just like, wow. So now you throw in for Buffalo that they play the, maybe Super Bowl champion LA Rams on October 12th. 6 days later, so not a full week, they played Las Vegas after being in LA. So what? Well, they got a bye after that. So what? Well, think about that. You got a Super Bowl preview game on a Monday. Then you play the lousy Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas the following week, knowing you got a bye after that. Do you really, being in Las Vegas, knowing they're going to be off for a week, do you really think they're going to be concentrating about the stinking Las Vegas Raiders? No. Knowing there's a bye week after that? I'd be real, careful with that football game. Carolina, another one, mini bye week. They're at home against the Patriots Thursday, the 22nd, and then they play at Seattle the following Monday, November 2nd. Kind of weird how the NFL did that. Cincinnati, nothing crazy with Cincinnati, except they have a trip to Spain. They're playing Pittsburgh, I believe it is. They don't have a bye. A lot of teams don't. Couple do, but most teams decided not to take a bye week after these European trips. And I did look this up. I don't know if it's still the case. I think it is, but I did look it up because the Dolphins started doing this. And I'm like, what are they doing? The NFL is screwing the Dolphins. They're going overseas, and they don't even have a bye week afterwards. And then it's like, no, the teams actually have the choice. When you go over, whether it's Germany, Spain, whatever the case may be, as of a couple of years ago anyway, those teams had the choice of, okay, we'll give you a bye week the following week if you want to. And a lot of teams are now saying no. They want to get right back into it for some reason or another. So Cincinnati chose no bye after a trip to Spain. Cleveland, tough. I want to bet the over, maybe Browns, see how well they are this year. They open up with 6 of their first 9 games on the road. They have 4 straight home games, though, with no bye. And a bye week thrown in there. So after that initial start, there's no road games from November 9th through December 19th. They do, though, have 3 straight road games on their schedule. Now, it's not crazy, but at Tennessee, October 25th, at Pittsburgh the following week, at New Orleans the following week. They're one of 2 teams that have 3 straight road games. That's not a good spot. And the one thing about these are they would be flying, like they're not going to fly from Tennessee and then go to Pittsburgh. Tennessee and Cleveland is close. So they're going to fly to Tennessee, fly back to Cleveland, fly to Pittsburgh, fly back to Cleveland, and then fly to New Orleans. So they're going to, I would think anyway, have 3 legitimate road trips back to back to back. Dallas has a mini bye, another mini bye week, right? They play Thursday against Philadelphia at home, and then the following Monday at Seattle, December 7th. Denver, what did we pick with Denver? Denver's got at San Fran, at the Chargers, and then Thursday at home against Seattle. So the question would be for the Broncos, are you flying to San Francisco, staying out there? If you're an East Coast team, that's what you would do. Or are you flying back to Denver, then to fly to Los Angeles? But then you got to fly home and play on a short week against the champions. So that's one little quirk with the Denver Broncos. Detroit, nothing crazy, except they decided not to have a bye week after their Germany game. Green Bay, no real bye as they play. They kind of screwed the Packers. So they don't really have a bye this year. They play Wednesday, November 25th. Remember, they added a game before Thanksgiving. You got Thanksgiving Day games, and you got one beforehand. This is the one. So they have that after a bye week. So they got their bye week, but then they're playing the following Wednesday. They're not practicing for that game starting on Monday. So it's going to go into their bye week. They're going to start probably practicing Wednesday, Thursday. They don't really have a bye week this year. They got a road game at Detroit before a Thursday home game with Carolina. That's not that big a deal. Houston's got four back-to-back road games. Only 2 midweek games for the Texans. Back-to-back's not easy. I keep track of that stuff, and I'll tell you what the records are from last year. Indianapolis has 3 back-to-back road games. And no bye. They also chose no bye after an England game against Pittsburgh. Jacksonville, 3 straight road games. At Baltimore, at Tennessee, and then at the Giants. I don't know. Would they fly all the way back to Florida? I would think they would probably go from Baltimore to Tennessee, and then maybe back to Jacksonville, then up to New York. That's weird. First 7 games, they have 5 home games, so they get off to a good start. Then 7 of their last 10 are on the road. Yikes. How about the start of their season? Cleveland, okay, that's not too bad. At Denver, New England, at Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Houston. Whew. That's a tough 5-game gauntlet. That's depending how you feel about Cincinnati and New England. I think they're both going to be better. At least Cincinnati will be. Maybe New England comes back to the pack, but still a tough game. That's tough schedule. Kansas City, another team. They're the third team with 3 straight road games. At Baltimore, November 5th, a Thursday game. Then they play the following week at Tennessee, the 15th. And then the following week against I'm flipping. Thursday against Buffalo, rather. 12-3 against the Raiders, which is a Thursday. And then they play at Cincinnati after that. That's a pretty good gauntlet because then they play New England and San Francisco. So Buffalo, Rams, Cincinnati, New England, San Francisco for the Chefs. That's and they got a stretch there in that 3 straight road games, a stretch of 6 road games out of 8. Not easy. They didn't do Mahomes any favors this year. Raiders have 4 sets of back-to-back road games. And again, probably flying back after the first game in all of them. Chargers and then New Orleans. LA to Las Vegas is close enough. I mean, you got to go further west anyway, so why wouldn't you? Jets and then San Francisco. Denver and then Cleveland. Arizona and then Kansas City. And I think the Arizona one is close enough. You'd fly back to Las Vegas. But the only one where they might not fly back home is Denver and Cleveland. And again, it's flying back home. That means you got to get on the airport, off the airport, pack your luggage, unpack. It is a pain in the ass. It is. So, Chargers, most balanced schedule in the league, I wrote. 9 road games, but only 2 sets of back-to-back road games in successive weeks. They got another one, but it's separated by a bye. So Chargers don't have it too bad. Rams have 3 sets of back-to-back road games, and they open up the season in Australia, which is stupid, against San Francisco. Our beloved Miami Dolphins. tough schedule, right? They only have 2 home games in September and October combined. 2. Their third home game is November 1st. Their season is over. Before it even began, it's over. They have no midweek games. So what? They suck. Yeah, but think about that now. No Sunday night game or no Monday night games. No Thursday night games. No Christmas Day games. No Thanksgiving Day games. No day before Thanksgiving Day games. No Saturday games. That's about 60 to 65 games when you add it all up. That's about 120 to 130 slots, right? 2 teams per game. That's about 130 slots. They had an opportunity to put the Miami Dolphins in, and the NFL and the network said, no, we want no part of this stinking team. Oh, I thought their quarterback, Malik Willis, is the greatest thing in the world. No, we want no. How about a Saturday? We bury him on a Saturday night? No. How about a Thursday night? No one watches these dopey games. We'll put it on Netflix. 5 people are watching. No, we want no part of this team. That's how bad they are. 130 or so slots to put the Dolphins in, and the NFL and the network said no to every single one. Oh, they're going to be awful. Going to be a long season. Minnesota. Back-to-back road games, no. Although they have a road and a Mexico game. So I guess that considers back-to-back, but they don't have any traditional back-to-back road games. Only 3 games against playoff teams outside of the division games. So they got a pretty, if you're thinking like Vikings, and next week we'll do this, and then we'll tack on the over-unders. The Vikings would be a decent little overplay when you look at their schedule. Patriots, 3 sets of back-to-back road games, 3 of their first 4 on the road. They do have a bye after their Germany game. Saints, only 3 road games in the first 10 weeks of the season, although they do have 1 game in France. They closed the season on a 5-3 road game run. And they got four sets of back-to-back road games if you want to count that France game against Pittsburgh. Giants, they're the only team to have a road game after a Monday night road game. So usually they don't do that. Usually they give the team on a Monday night the benefit of the doubt because you're flying on a Monday night, then you're flying back home. They don't want to have you fly back out again. The Giants are the only one that I saw anyway that actually has a road game after a Monday night game. They have them sometimes before, but that doesn't matter because you get the extra day. Here you're on a short week and you have to have back-to-back road games. So Jets, 9 road games, but only 2 back-to-back. That's not too bad. Philadelphia, 3 road games. Including a Saturday game against Seattle, then Thursday, December 24th. I mean, that's not too bad. Pittsburgh, I mentioned, no bye after the France game. They're at Tampa Bay before the France game. So what? Well, you got to fly all the way down to Tampa. Would they leave from Tampa to go to France? Or would they fly back to Pittsburgh? I don't know. And then also 2 of their last 4 games are against Baltimore. So what? Well, that's one of the NFL's biggest rivalries, right? Steelers and Ravens. Although no Mike Tomlin with Pittsburgh and no Jim Harbaugh with Baltimore. So I wonder how that, is it still a rivalry? Are you still going to feel that? I mean, I think you will to a certain extent, but part of it was those 2 guys. It's not going to be the same. And that said, the NFL kind of buried it, making it 2 of the last 4 games. I could see one of them, but, you don't want to wait, 13 weeks before you get your first Pittsburgh-Baltimore game. San Fran's got a decent little gauntlet. Rams, at Chargers, at Kansas City, Philadelphia in December. They better get off to a good start because they're not making hay with that schedule in December. Seattle, 6 non-Sunday games. Yeah, that's the price of being the Super Bowl champs. And that doesn't even include Sunday nights. 6 Monday night, Thursday night, Saturday games. They got a gauntlet of Chargers, 49ers, at Denver, Kansas City, Chicago in October. That won't be easy. I don't think that team's making the playoffs. Tennessee, like the Dolphins, no midweek games. Only 2 back-to-back road games. Tampa Bay, the only team not to have back-to-back road games. The Buccaneers. When you heard Baker Mayfield, earlier this week talk about how he thinks he's going to have a good year and the team is going to have a good year, pretty easy schedule and no back-to-back road games. Only team in the NFL. Little pop quiz. Water cooler. You can give it if you want to your favorite little friend. And then finally, Washington. 3 sets of back-to-back road games. Only 2 home games. Who was the other team that had this? Only 2 home games in September and October combined. Again, their 3rd home game is November 1st. They open the season, do the Redskin Potatoes at Philadelphia, at Dallas, Seattle. Oof. Staring down the barrel of being 0-3. And they got another team with a mini bye week. They play Thursday against the Giants, November 12th, and then Cincinnati the following Monday. So little quirks to the NFL schedule. Jot down those 3-game road trips. Jot down those back-to-back-to-backers. I did want to tell you. So last season, go to oppositepicks.com. I keep track of this stuff, and I have over the years. Oppositepicks.com. If you go to my free NFL page, there's premium pages, and then there's free picks. List under free picks. Scroll down to NFL, and that's where I keep this stuff. Last year, let me go scroll down. Hold on a second. I got my Super Bowl. I got to clean this out still from last season. Where is it? I thought I have it on this page. Maybe I got it on a different page. No, there it is. Okay. Last year, 25-26 season, back-to-back road game teams, they were 32, 38, and 1 straight up. But 38 and 33 against the spread. So that's not bad. 2 years ago, they were 34 and 37 straight up, 33 and 38 against the spread. 3 years ago, 28 and 43 straight up, but 36, 32, and 3 against the spread. So they've basically been losing more games than winning, which you normally do on the road. I don't know if there's a greater number percentage-wise for the second road game versus the first, but against the spread, they've actually done pretty well. So another case of the boys in Vegas, trying to outsmart the boys in Vegas and not happening. It's the other way around. So, what else we wanted to give you here? Let me double check on things. Just back to our bets for tonight. We got Baltimore against Philadelphia. We got Washington against Atlanta. And we got Colorado Pick'em against Kansas City. 6-1 this week, 6-2 last week, so 12-3 over the last 2 weeks. Dallas Cowboys, little Dak Prescott. I was going to mention this when we were talking Dallas before. Good old Dak. They're embracing the fact that they think they're Super Bowl worthy. I mean, it's one of those cases where, how well do you think you're going to do? And what's the goal? Well, the goal is win the Super Bowl, right? I mean, what is a player going to say, right? The goal is to make the playoffs, right? They're going to say that. But when it's Dallas Cowboys and they say, we're embracing this and we want to win the Super Bowl, and that's our goal to win the Super Bowl, it just sounds worse than it probably is. I would hate it if Dak said, well, we want to finish 500. That's our goal. Really? Then that would be the story. But when you just want to make a story out of it, Dak says, yes, he's embracing Super Bowl talk. There's no bigger fan base that gets let down year after year. You want to tell me the Buffalo Bills? You want to tell me, whoever it might be? Buffalo would really be the one, that gets let down every single season. Maybe, but I'll give you the Dallas Cowgirls. I think that fan base, at least Buffalo's fan base, has realistic hopes, whereas Dallas is, you really think Dak Prescott's going to go to – he's never won a big game in his life. Go back to his days at Mississippi State. Never won a big game in his life. All of a sudden, he's going to win a Super Bowl after all these years. You think he's going to finally break through? Nah, not happening, folks. It's funny. The quarterbacks that have only gone to the Super Bowl like one time, they did that for the most part in the beginning of their careers, not at the end of their careers. winning a Super Bowl, little John Elway, end of their careers. But, whether it's getting to the Super Bowl, Tony Eason, Dan Marino, it was at the beginning of their season. So Dak would be going against the grain if he got to a Super Bowl now. But it's just funny hearing Dak and Dallas talking Super Bowl. But, yeah, realistically, what do you expect them to do? Say no? We want to finish, like I said, we want to finish 500. As far as any other updates going on, New York is the latest to sue one of these prediction market sites, suing Kalshi for illegal gambling. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Ooh, Yankees, I shouldn't get excited, but we got to bet on the Yankees, leading 2-0 over the Cubs, heading to the bottom of the 7th. But New York, they're paying these, or they're getting, rather, 55% of what DraftKings and FanDuel and all the ones here in New York are grossing, not even making. That's the gross that they get their cut from. So if Kalshi and all the others start stealing money away, if you will, or customers away from the legal gambling sites, then New York is losing out, because they're not getting a dime from Kalshi. You don't think DraftKings and FanDuel are ticked off about this, and Caesars? So I get it, man. They're it's gambling. It's as clear as gambling can be, and they're not getting a dime. Romo placed on a leave by CBS. I don't know if that means he's going to get fired, or does that mean, no, we don't want to fire you. We're just going to, punish you, slap your wrist. Don't know, but they announced that J.J. Watt's going to be in the number one team. So, the NFL season doesn't start for a month and a half. They think he's going to be out of commission for a long, long time. They could have easily just said, all right, we're going to suspend him right now, and we'll see how this thing develops, and we'll take it, 6 weeks from now when the season begins. So I'm guessing, I don't know. I originally thought that was a good sign for him, but you can't fire the dude because he hasn't been convicted, innocent until proven guilty. He could sit there and say, no, I wasn't drunk. I did a Tiger Woods. I took some medicine. That's all. It was a little giddy. I had a headache from being on the sun all day playing golf. It didn't sit well with the drinks I was making, and that's why I acted, so weird. So I don't think they can realistically fire him. They would place him on leave. So from that standpoint, maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. What else do we got? More women players are now joining basketball's union. I told you about Stanford yesterday. More than 100 women college basketball players have joined a unionized campaign. Unions are here. They're not going away. It's simple as that. Crazy. College sports is just nuts. Just absolutely nuts. All right. Anything on speaking of Twitter, and anything on Twitter? Yeah, more people, Dr. O, 2 guesses given the history of NFL head coaches. There was a female passenger that wasn't his wife. 2, he was heavily intoxicated. That's the female, passenger is the one to that's it. That is really it. I got that a few times. So that's what most people think happened with Shanahan. Don't doubt it. Just hope we find something. Former UNC assistant basketball coach Kim English under investigation by the NCAA after multiple former players and recruits accused him of inappropriate behavior. Many people verbal abuse. Burner accounts on social media he would use to defend the coaching ability, calling out players. These guys are nuts. They're under so much pressure to win. So much pressure. Yeah, and that's basically it. Pac-Man Jones, but who cares about that? I see Timmy did our little thing here. All right, so I'll leave you with this. We had 2, and this was the first one I was considering. How about that? How cute is this? Caitlin Clark when she was 7 years old. And she made the layup too. All right. I think that really was her, right? So that's kind of cute. Something, we always try and leave you with a little something, right? But in the effort of being the Scott Wetzel Show. That that was nice, but we needed a little something more than that. We expected more from you, Scott, than that. That's cute, but we'll leave that to replacement radio. So instead, we found this little one, and I'm not sure how to describe this. It's just I don't know. I mean, I'll let the words speak for themselves.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. When I'm just not like looking for porn sites. That, my friends, apparently was Sophie Cunningham in the NFL.
Oh, it's her. I've confirmed.
Yes, right. I was gonna say
she posted it herself.
Yeah. A whole bunch of likes on that. What that? I wasn't sure, Tim, my producer, right? But then as I watched that one, if you watch something, then you get a whole bunch of others. And then all of these Sophie Cunningham things like this popped up, and it's like, yeah, that had to been her. I mean, she posts some wild stuff. I mean, just some you talk about soft porn. I've
been following her for about 5 years on social media, and it gets better every year.
Wow. She has got like no qualms about
no filter.
Anything. No filter. There you go. No filter at all. I mean, the WNBA, I'm telling you, they're teammates and they do get along. So, but she continues the way she's going with some of this stuff. She's going to overtake Caitlin Clark. She will. I mean, she posts videos like that. More people are going to be interested in her than Caitlin Clark. She will knock Caitlin Clark. Who figured it would be a teammate that would knock Caitlin Clark off the not necessarily the map, but you know what I mean? The WNBA, like if this was David Stern NBA back in the Jordan days, the WNBA needs this Indiana team to win the championship. They absolutely listen, when you become mainstream, you have to embrace this stuff. You got to take the good with the bad. When you become mainstream, like soccer, right, with FIFA and then the World Cup and bringing these $20 million sponsors on, WNBA, this is the world you're entering. You can't go back to your purity and let us just play basketball. No, we care about your opinions. We care about your politics. We care about your lesbians. We care about blacks and white issues. We care about all this stuff now. You're in the main focus. And if they were to win, this is with them not even winning. What kind of videos would she post if they actually won the championship? Oh my goodness. But they need the Indiana Fever to win. They really, really, they should pay Sophie and Caitlin Clark, both of them, $1 gazillion. Here are the keys to the franchise. Do whatever the fudge you want. Knock yourself out. You want to send out videos like that? Oh, man, how great is that? So we'll leave you with that. We'll definitely leave you with that. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It's right there. Doesn't cost you anything. You're not signing up for anything. Just hit the subscribe. It just lets YouTube know that you're out there. That is as simple as that. So you keep on hitting the subscribe buttons, and we'll keep on sending you videos like that on our show. So, hey, thanks to Marc Lawrence, playbooksports.com, for joining us. Talk a little college football, NFL. Hope to have him on every week during the season. But playbooksports.com, get his weekly guide. And also the football preview, NFL and college. It's a combined, so you're not paying for two. It's one. So appreciate that from Mark. All the good comments that we got and all the input we had on Twitter and emails. Any emails you send, I'll answer those separately. So have a good weekend. My vacation kind of starts today. I got to work tomorrow over at Sports Grid, but got to have a little barbecue. Some friends, in the backyard, just sitting back, smoking some cigars. Little Johnny Walker. light the fire pit. Yes, my weekend starts right now. So enjoy yours, and we'll be back next Monday, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern, right here, fanstreamsports.com for all the previous shows, fanstreamsports.com. Have a great Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we'll talk to you on Monday, folks.